Hey there. Thank you for joining today. I'm Catherine Guidry. I'm here joined by my husband, Brad.
Hi.
And I have a very special guest on the podcast with me today. I have my friends, Juliana and Brandon, who are also the owners of Peony Weddings. I was privileged to photograph their wedding, so I feel like I have a very special place in my heart for them, just seeing them with their family and their friends on their most special day. But they are incredibly talented as photographers and they're also married, which is why I wanted them to join us today. And we're just excited to have you guys listen in for today's episode in couples therapy.
Thank
Just
you for
kidding.
having us. I hope we had decent advice.
I'm so excited to be here with my wife, who I love. Yeah, did I say that right?
Yes, good job, baby.
So unscripted.
Oh my gosh. So, very much like our business, they did not initially, which we'll talk about that to my knowledge, start out as a husband and wife team, but now they've joined forces. And, you may be somebody that is already working with your significant other or spouse, or maybe it's something you're thinking about, or maybe you're like us and, your spouse started working with you and then they decided they wanted to like not work with you. And then they rejoined again, which is our story. Um,
Keeps coming back.
yeah. So Brad like officially resigned from his position at about the like third or fourth wedding, way back in the gap because he was like, I don't know that this is going to work out for our relationship. And then thankfully I learned a little bit more about photography, wasn't quite as stressed on a wedding day, and now here we are. So enough about us. I want to talk about you guys. Tell us a little bit about how long you've been in business, where you're from, and a little bit about you guys as like people.
Yeah, definitely. So, just like you said, we did not start out doing this together, but Brandon was with me the entire journey. So, he's been supporting me since day one in little special ways. So, I um, photographed my first wedding when I was 16. I was a senior in high school. I was dating Brandon at the time. And we also didn't think this was gonna be a long-term career. We're like, wedding photographers, that's not a profession. That's just something you do on the side. And so, um,
Also, of course, I had many suitors, so I didn't know if it'd be long term in the relationship either. That's totally a lie. I was very much a nerd in high school. I had zero suitors. I was very thankful. Not one.
oh yeah, so I mean, obviously, business picked up and we did go to college together. We went to Nicholls State University in a small town called Thibodaux, Louisiana. And while he was pursuing 2 degrees, accounting and finance.
Which I got.
Yes, he finished college, he did great, I'm very proud. He's definitely the smarter one in our relationship, for sure. I dropped out of college my 3rd year, beginning of 3rd year, to pursue weddings full time because it got to a point where I was choosing, do I go to this final on Friday or do I go to bride prep? Like, am I
Wow.
gonna be late for one or the other? So, my final day of college, I walked into an art history class, put my name on the test, and turned it in blank. And it was the last.
She
Ah.
had to run to Bright Prep.
Yeah,
And she's like, "Oh, the last 3 finals I have? I'm not doing
I had a 10:40 a.m. final and an 11 a.m. bride prep. I'm like, priorities. So
Yeah.
that's sort of my failure slash success story in that respect.
He doesn't like talking about it because it seems like braggy, but like at the time, the dean of the art department was like, "You're making a huge mistake. You're gonna regret this, yada yada." But apparently, like we've had friends who've gone through that department, and she's like, "Oh, she talks nothing but nice things about you. That you look at the model student that came out of the art department." I was like, "Wow,
Yeah. Success
when it
story
works out,
for
it works out, I
sure.
guess."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but I mean, it was really nerve-wracking at the time, obviously. I'm like, I have no choice but for this to succeed.
Right.
Failure is not an option. Um, and so Brandon stuck with college and did his thing, and I was working weddings on the weekend, and we'd see each other when we saw each other. But that was just a funny little time in our lives where he was like, wow, you're really doing this thing. And he sort of started dabbling in interest. I mean, that's where I was hanging out on the weekends. And he's like, I want to hang out with you. So why don't I just come to a few weddings? And you were definitely a hold the bags kind of guy. I
Yeah.
mean, no photographer in training at that point.
No.
Um,
Again, accounting and finance.
yeah.
My left brain had never even turned on at that point. It was all right brain.
At the time he was like, so you have like an LLC, like you pay taxes, right? Like, yes.
No, you ended up. I think you went to do your taxes one year, and the guy came back and was like, "Oh, these are so unorganized." I was like, "Okay, let me look at them." And I came back with her to go to and the CPA literally looked at her and said, "I wish everyone would come exactly in the same format that you." I was like, "Okay, yeah, makes sense, right? All right, cool." And I was like, only like
Yeah.
2 years at that point, but I was like, "Yeah, it makes sense." Like you could see
Everything was
item,
organized.
every itemized expense,
Yeah.
every income, where it came from, and it's
'Cause
like,
that's just
okay.
not how my brain works, and I think a lot of creatives in the photography industry know that the business side of things can be very tricky if you are so creative brained.
Mhm.
So, at one point, I was just like, "We make a really good team. What else can
Yep.
I you to do?" But yeah, after a couple of weddings where he held my bags, um, he graduated college, and we immediately found out we were pregnant for Eleanor. So,
Ah.
it was exciting. I think
How
we
many
were 23.
in the year coming, when we found out we were pregnant, we found out in January, right before I graduated,
Mhm.
and you had 62 weddings that year.
That year.
Sorry, 65.
Oh,
Three ended up like saying, "Oh, you're having a baby. We'll switch."
Yeah.
And
Like,
so I was like,
okay.
"Okay."
we'll find someone else for you. Yeah, so needless to say, I was like, just pure adrenaline.
She was
Like, I have no choice. Let's just keep
She
going.
pretty
Yeah.
much said, like, "Hey, you just finished college. Your career hasn't really started yet. Can you pause yours for maybe 6 months to a year while we figure out the baby thing and me figuring out how to handle these weddings? Obviously, the income is fine. We're good there. We just need to figure out how to handle the baby when
Yeah.
it comes." I was like, "Yeah, sure, it makes sense." And then I never went back.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think no, yeah, you've never had an accounting or finance
No,
job.
I've never had a job
Well,
where I
formally,
get a
Yeah,
W.
formally,
Yeah,
right.
but
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
no,
sounds
right
like this
answer.
I have a
That
built-in
taxes.
accountant.
yeah.
Yeah, but
No, but
PA.
truly, and here's the thing, it's like, somewhere along the way, we figured out, like, you're actually very talented with a camera. Somehow he has both left brain and right brain working for the most part, so I'm like, you're never fired. You're gonna stay with
Yeah.
me forever." So,
Yeah.
we make it work because we know the alternative is he has a full-time job. We never see each other. We barely see the kids. Like, that's rough on us. So,
Yeah, my schedule would literally just be a 9 to 5 on Monday to Fridays, shooting with you on
Mhm.
Saturdays, maybe getting some time off on Sundays, and then going doing that again. I would literally never see y'all. We would never have time just to ourselves. It would be a lot. Would we
Yeah.
be making more money? Yeah, but like, at what point is that the real goal? You know what I mean?
Right.
Y'all understand that now that y'all have
Mhm.
kids. Like, there's so much more to worry about, in my opinion.
Yeah, and just so much more that's grasping at you, whereas,
Mhm.
like, I didn't mind as much, like, I don't know, just certain elements of time, but it's like time just feels really precious right now, and I think that has a lot to do with having children, and we actually did do a year. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but we actually did do a year last year where Brad was working for a firm.
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay, and we were doing what you described where, like, he was truly away from, like, whatever. He'd have to leave at, like, 7:30 and he'd get back closer to 6, and I'm like, "This is the pits, man, like, I never
Yeah.
see you. The kids are seeing you for an hour. We were still shooting weddings together, so he was really getting the short end of the stick, but I think even if we weren't doing weddings together, just the idea of being on 2 totally different wavelengths, and I
yeah,
think that's why it kind of makes sense. So that is a lot of the same reasons I think that we joined forces, where you kind of see Julian. Okay, you say Juliana, and I said Juliana earlier,
That's okay.
but I said it and I
Tomato, tomato.
Well, it's when it's your name.
Oh, it's not, Brad. It's not.
Yeah.
For
As I
Thanksgiving and call her Juliana.
right.
I
As the words escaped my mouth, I was like, "Bleh." But
like the
Ju-
formality of Juliana.
yeah, well, that's also how she says her name. So
So
it's really important.
you're from Lafayette, right?
Well, yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. New Iberia, Lafayette, and I'm from Morgan City. They all say Juliana.
Yeah. Well, actually, I am from Morgan City.
That's true. We are both from Morgan City. Yeah. So Juliana's like much more popular of a pronunciation there.
Right.
When I started doing things in New Orleans, like Thibodaux, New Orleans, North Shore, it became Anna over the
Yeah.
years. So I think I've been Juliana since I was like 18.
I love that
Yeah.
me and Brad got the only two women out of Morgan City that have teeth. Yes. I'm totally joking. Love Morgan City. Anyone from Morgan City watching? It's a joke. My people
Kind of-
don't have teeth as well.
Kind of like crazy that we're both from such a small town of all the places. But no, that's where I like actually grew up. And then I was in
Fried
Lafayette.
chicken. That's my people.
Wait, where? Danny's?
Danny's fried chicken. Yes.
Did you ever eat at Rita Mae's?
Yes. Oh my
Girl,
God.
that was like our weekend spot with my
You ever
family.
eat at Tampico's?
Did you? What you say?
Tampico's, I
It just
mean,
closed down.
closed.
It just closed down like a month ago.
like what's going to
Yeah.
happen now? I feel like the city won't
Yeah,
even
nothing.
survive without
Where are they gonna
Tampico's.
eat?
Sometimes I'll actually call in food on the drive, like just to get Tampico's. Like their quesadillas are the best. Anyway, okay, I digress. So, what has it been like working together as a couple? Generally speaking, like somebody's like, I'm thinking about doing this or we're doing this. Like, what's your experience been like since, you officially came on board? Which, by the way, how long ago was it that you were 16? Not to say your age, but I am curious how long you've been in business for the listeners.
I don't know. What's 30 minus 16?
14,
I'm not gonna say your age.
right?
What's 30 minus
You're the
16?
one in finance and accounting.
That was a joke, Catherine. I was saying her age.
Okay.
14.
14 years? Oh,
Excellent. Okay, so long time. And then what has it been like since you officially came on board? Which
So
was, I guess, maybe about 10 years ago? Is that right?
no,
Mm-mm.
8 years ago.
Yep.
8
Okay,
years
8
ago.
years. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
2017.
Right before, so Eleanor's about to turn 7. So it
We had,
was
we had a
year
baby. I
before.
graduated college. We started business together. It was a big year for us.
Yes. I will say this. We just sort of fell into this scenario, but if I was really thinking about it before bringing him on the team, I wish someone would have told me how much work it is. We love each other dearly, but it is so much harder to remain professional, leave personal life behind you, and then leave professional life behind you and step into personal life when you get back home. It is
Especially because we like our jobs. Like,
Yeah.
you and I enjoy talking about our clients and like, oh, we booked this thing. Oh, we're gonna go to this venue, and like we're excited about it. And we're sitting at the dinner table with our kids. So
yeah.
like sometimes we have to like pull that apart. We're like, okay, no, focus in on family time because
Yeah.
like not because like the clients are like pulling us into that world, mostly because like we want to be. Like we
Yeah.
enjoy what we do. So
We'll do date nights, and our rules is that we can't talk about work and we can't talk about kids.
we just stay silent for hours.
No.
Yeah. I don't know what we
What
were
are you
talking about
doing?
either.
I don't know.
I'd be like, boy, this food is excellent. You know?
Wow.
Wow,
Snips, huh?
yeah, that's tough. And interestingly enough, I feel like we don't struggle with that. I don't know if you'd agree. Like I'm talking about because of the fact that like the one I think difference between you guys, y'all are like truly 100% a husband and wife team. Whereas I feel like the subtle difference with us is that Brad's always talking about architecture. Like that's
And
really
always sleeping. Or about to fall
I knew
asleep.
you were gonna say it.
The way Catherine looked at Brad made me know that was a little true, and she's offended.
I mean, truly, there was a time where I actually told him, like, kind of y'all's rule about not talking about work. I was just like, we cannot talk about buildings today. I do not want to go on this walk and you point out a single detail about a door, a shutter, a cornerstone. I don't care. We don't, no architecture, no
What about me,
architect.
Brad? What about my curves? Any lines you like on this side?
What do you think about these lines, boy?
Yeah, I think that's what it was, Brandon. I'm just
And he-
like, looking at the building behind her.
Yeah. I'm like, hi. And he's like, wow, you're beautiful. And then I realized he's actually talking about the building behind me. Yeah. So needless to say, we struggle with that. But I do talk a lot about photography too. And I could see that, like, if we were both all in on one business, like, it's hard enough for me to get out of the headspace. And if I had him as passionate about my business as he is about his own, like, yeah, I think that we would, I mean, we still fall into that trap of talking about work. And it is really hard because then you're like, well, what else do we talk about? It's such a big part of our lives. I think that's why a lot of times older people are so quiet because they're probably retired. They don't have as much in their day to day. I could be totally off base. I'm not that old yet, but like, it just does seem like that could be something people have to set those boundaries around. So that's really cool. But the pro is that you get to spend time together and you get to share, right? Like, what are some of the pros?
I think the funny thing about working together and living together, literally 24/7. And I'll preface this by saying, like, that sounds fun. It can be a lot. Like, we get on each other's nerves more.
Yeah.
However, I think it's really funny in our personal lives, but especially on wedding days, where we can just look at each other and know what each other's thinking. The telepathy that has grown between our minds at this point, like, I don't feel like we really need to come home and talk about whatever happened at work because, like, I'm like, you already know, I already know. Like,
You were
we already had
there.
the whole
You saw it.
conversation
I saw
with
it.
our eyes across a church. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
But I think that it is important for everyone to know that, and this is not even just couples who work together. I think it's important for every couple to have their own thing, have their own hobbies, have their own time spent away from one another. That way you can come together and talk about your interests that are apart from work, the kids, etc.
You start getting down the rabbit hole of the fact that we all have phones and we're so easily accessible to each other.
Yeah.
We're not meant to be that way. You're supposed to have time away from each other. Absence make the heart go fonder. Like, go do your own thing. It's good that Brad every now and again goes to buildings, hopefully without Catherine,
Mhm.
and goes like enjoy that stuff by himself because he can
Yeah.
be his
Yeah.
own thought, focusing on it, and then come home with a clear mind and like happy, full of endorphins, and talk about it.
Right.
And just yeah, I feel like going separate every now and again just makes you want to just come back together even more.
Yeah.
100%. No, I agree. Yeah. Even when we travel, like if we go to a big city, like we're in New York or traveling, whatever, I'll be like, okay, you can wake up with the sunrise and go and do some sketching. And like, he loves to just walk around and look at the architecture and really like do that. And then whenever he gets back, he feels like that cup is full. But yeah, whatever that hobby is, maybe it's like we just started getting into tennis, so maybe it's that or reading. I joined a book
Doubles?
club, like whatever.
Doubles?
Y'all play? Do y'all play?
Yes. We always we
Yeah.
tennis.
What? I'm not very good, but I'd love to play and
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
Let's do it before we all get handicapped at some point.
Before
do it
Catherine has
before the
to
wedding
slowly
season.
bend down for those knees, right?
Right. You're gonna see me bend down with a knee to get the balls. Okay. So when it comes to you guys, like obviously you're both all in on photo. We're all in on photo. But I know there are husband and wife teams that are also photo video.
Mhm.
So I want to talk about this because, in my opinion, it's a commitment in a lot of ways to dedicate to just photography because the reality of it is that when you're being compared to a photo video team, maybe they're husband and wife as well, but they're split, there potentially could be some cost savings to the client
Mhm.
if they book them together.
For sure.
And that would be, I guess, the con of staying on the same team. Um, But, like, why did you guys choose to say, "We're gonna forgo the extra money in our bank account, even though the client will save money, it's more in for your household," in order to really stay true to you guys and yourselves as a photography team?
Take this one.
Sure. I feel like you can make that argument for a lot of stuff, like from the economic point of view. That like, oh, why would you upgrade to a Mercedes from a Tahoe? Like why would you do that? It's like, well, Mercedes, they like build a car. They really focus in on it. That's their niche, and they really make sure they do it perfectly correct. And that's something that
Mhm.
when we talking to our clients, we'll get that question every now and again. And like, oh, do y'all do video? Does Brandon do video? We're like, no. Brandon is a pretty much a primary shooter by himself. You're getting two primary shooters that
Mhm.
day. You're not getting some random person. I come to the engagement sessions. They meet me before the wedding. So I'm walking in, I'm like, "Hey, Brad, what's up? How you doing, man? Oh my god, you got those new golf clubs? That's awesome." Like I already have a rapport with him
Mhm.
right when I walk in, and his friends, we get that all the time, like maybe an hour or two into the wedding, like, "How long have you known the bride and groom?" We're like, "Oh, we met this weekend." And they're like, "What? How like what is how is that even a thing?" They're like, "Oh yeah, like we met him at
Like, no,
this."
we're just their photographers.
Yeah.
Like, we
Mhm.
haven't been friends
But
forever.
like when you feel like when the whole team is there for the engagements, the bridals, like the whole thing, I feel like it's a different level of service that you can't
Mhm.
get with someone who can do both. Because usually when you do in photo and video, maybe I could be wrong that someone would go to the other sessions. More times than not, the video person is either editing video or they have another job. Like the ones that I think of it in our area, that's the case with them. And we just want to be fully invested in it. And Juliana also knows that like one of the reasons that I credit why I'm so good at what I do is because she was able to be very blunt with me. Now that comes with you gotta be, but it's true. Like that's helpful. You can't, Catherine. I'm sure you understand that. Like sometimes if a second shooter does something that you're like, oh, this is like slightly off, but you're never gonna complain to them. You're never gonna say anything. But if Brad does it, you'll look at him and be like, why? Why is this lamp here?
Yeah,
And guess
mostly
what?
at one
Every
o'clock
single
in the
time.
morning. Yeah, when she's going through the gallery, that's exactly what happened, Brandon.
Yeah, it doesn't help that it is at 1 o'clock in the morning for me. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Brian, why is the sun focus?"
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Um, but
But that's a form of growing. You have to like
yeah,
art is recursive. You have to look at what you did, what could you have done better, and do that, and then do that again over and over and over again. We do this every single weekend at every single wedding. That's how you grow. And some
right,
I feel like some for the main shooters when they don't have a consistent second, they won't do that with their own work. Because like I like to go with Juliana when I'm editing, be like, hey, you could have been at these settings and to make this a little bit better. And she's like, you're right. I'm like, it just having that like a little bit of a review. More times than not, it's me messing up. I totally understand that. I gotta say that. I feel safe. Uh, yeah, I think.
I can't with you, Brandon.
I will
Nope,
I like
but
how
that
you
makes
touch my
sense.
arm to make it seem like we actually like each other. It's great.
Yeah.
They love they ate that up.
I will say though, the
There's
pro
like a blinking prompt, like, "Touch his arm, touch his arm."
yes.
Oh,
Smile.
smile.
But I will say, like, the main pro to all of this is that as a husband and wife team, we are both invested in the same
Yeah.
thing,
Right,
which is not only our couples and our business, but the photos. Like, our MO the entire time, both of us are the photos. Whatever's happening with video, that's their company. We're happy to accommodate, team up, do whatever we can. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not responsible for that product. I have suggested a nice company for the couple to um, hire. And I'm
right,
happy to, work well with them so that they do get the best possible product for the couple. But
right.
for me, it's like I want Brandon and I to be on the exact same page when it comes to photo. Um, I just feel like it's just a better service that we can provide together and the product is better. Again, like he said, I'm not hiring a random second shooter every weekend. You know, or even if you have a somewhat consistent second shooter, I feel like it's so much different than having your spouse, your significant other, who's invested in the same way as you are. So
Mhm. Mhm.
I
I
feel like you
agree
can
with that.
I feel like you could do that sometimes. You see it with restaurants a lot. Sometimes a restaurant will be like, "We're Chinese American takeout, and you get your oil change fixed there."
Right.
And you look at all those signs, you're like, "You're not doing any of that well."
Mhm.
But the people
Yes.
like you go to a place and like we do sushi, and you're like, "Oh, can I get fried rice?" No, we do sushi. And guess what?
Mhm.
It's probably the best sushi you're ever gonna eat in your life. That they niche
Yeah.
down, they know exactly what they want, exactly what they like, and I think that's moral of the story of what we're trying to say here.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like I really like the point you're making too, Juliana, about you deliver photography. That is your product,
Mhm.
right? And we can deliver video, and maybe we deliver video at maybe it's not as like luxury of a product as our photography, and that's unfortunate because even though they're not one and the same, that step down of videography might compromise your deliverable in the
Mm.
photography realm, albeit it would end up compromising your whole brand.
Mhm.
And I
if my
really
name
love
is
I
on
love the
it,
Mercedes analogy as well, Brandon.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Like there's a saying your portfolio is only as best as the worst image. And
Mhm.
so, there's a strong probability that if you're I mean, I sometimes feel like I'm still learning my camera and I've been doing this for a very long time and trying new lenses and it's like imagine that you're trying to do that for photo and video and software is changing for photography and videography and techniques and styles and it's a lot to keep up with and so what we're all echoing is essentially this idea of specializing and um kind of focusing in on what you're doing. Now, there are couples that obviously do divide and conquer, and that's totally fine. We're just two teams who have chosen to not do that for it sounds like the same reason. And also, to be quite honest, I really don't want to learn how to I have zero desire to I mean, I have a little bit of a desire because I think it would be nice to know how to do it, but like I really don't want to do video. I think
Yeah.
it feels like a lot of work to learn when I enjoy most seeing like I went to my couple's house recently and I did their newborn set photos and I love like seeing pictures on the wall. I think photography is just so much more frequently accessed
Yeah.
and revisited. And so I don't know, I guess selfishly I like knowing that I'm not taking on all of this knowledge and all of this work for them to not I guess see it as often.
Yeah, and I
Mhm.
mean you can't also oversee the in video. It's like there's a deliverable in video, but for
Oh, it's
photography, you
huge.
understand the deliverable in photography. There's albums, there's galleries, there's all these
Yeah.
different ways that you have to present that product, and then you understand that from the photography
Yeah,
side.
because like, even outside of the actual shooting, we still have to do albums and, previews and, uh, product prints, like, it doesn't just stop at the, like, I show up and I take pictures. There's so much that goes on. My favorite question is when people are like, "Well, what do you do during the week?" I'm
I tell
like,
them I
"Oh,
sit up there, and because like our neighbors will access that. I'm like, I sit up there next to that window,
right."
editing at my desk all day,
All
every day.
day, every day.
Like, oh
Yeah.
wow, I like so on
They're like, "Oh,
Saturday.
yeah, the pictures do need to be edited, huh?" Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
we know how time consuming editing photos are. Videos
So
even
consuming.
more.
Well, can I
Yes, that's
also
what
Like
I'm
just
it's
say,
saying.
so much more time consuming.
I don't see them
Right.
as hand in hand, to be honest. That's just my personal opinion. People can disagree. I feel like videography is a totally different division of a wedding. That is a totally different product. That is a totally different lighting scenario,
Yeah.
equipment used, the type of creative person who has to go in and just the cinematography skill for quality of work. I feel like photo and video do not go together. They are two separate entities. And my mind is so photo based that I don't think because I'm good at photography, I would be good at videography.
There's a lot
Oh,
more.
yeah.
We talk
I
about this
get
all the
that.
time. There's a lot more creative freedom in the post processing of video than photography. For photography, it's a lot. 95% of the work is done on the day of,
Mhm.
and we're
Yeah.
just kind of like, clearing it up, making sure it's the perfect it could possibly be. But video, I feel like they just kind of get a lot of B-roll on the day, and they'll smash some stuff together as they see fit.
Yeah.
But like she's saying, I agree. Like the videographers that we love to work with, that we see as true artists, that like they're top of their game. That's their medium. They show
They don't do photo.
they
I mean,
are
just
art.
like your wedding
That is
videographer,
their paintbrush.
Yeah.
your wedding videographer was so good, like so
But
unique
like,
and
think about how different the photo
Yeah.
version of our wedding and the video version of our
Yeah.
wedding
so
was.
different.
But it's exactly what we
That's what we
wanted.
wanted. Yeah.
Yeah, like we recognize that this needs to be two totally different vibes, basically.
Yeah.
Wanted
Yeah.
the classic timeless editorial film photography, insert Catherine Guidry, and I want it to look like I was in a Beyonce music video. Insert
Eskimo.
My favorite thing
Yes.
is too, because Jorge is so his own person and what he does. There's a few times that you're like, Jorge, are you gonna get this? And he's like, no, let me know when you're done.
Right. And
There.
same,
Because he had his own vision
me.
and his own thing in mind. And you were like, oh, okay. And then like we were like this beautiful like portrait, like we were like all being romantic. And then you were like, all right, I'm done with them. Jorge, you need it? He's like, yeah, guys, can you give me finger guns?
Right.
It was two totally different vibes, but that's what we wanted. And I think
Yes.
like
I was like, is this even the same wedding that we photographed? No, it was really funny. And like some of it I did shoot, but then some of it, to your point, if y'all were doing finger guns, like I might have just been like, okay, let me know when you're finished with
I
that.
don't think
You know,
this translates.
this doesn't quite translate as much
I
in a
probably
picture.
am gonna frame that and put it on my walls. No offense.
Right.
But
Right. Exactly.
no,
Okay. So I want to talk about family life. So you guys tell us how many children you have, what are their current ages? Did you have the business first? Did you have the kids first? I mean, you kind of already touched on that, but let's talk about what is your family structure, because next I want to talk about childcare and how you structure your family life with children in this career that is like atypical of the way society is sort of set up.
definitely. Yeah. So like I said, we got pregnant a little after, well, we had Eleanor a little after he graduated college. So this was 2017. She is about to turn 7 years old next month.
I feel like when you say Colin, I'm just gonna blow their minds. Because Colin was a little baby at our wedding.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
Baby.
Yes.
he was like 4 months old. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
So yeah, we had Colin in 2020, so thick of the pandemic. And we got married March of 2021. So yeah, Colin was almost 6 months old. And yeah, so he just turned 4, she is 7, and we moved about 2 hours away from all of our family members. So we do not have family that watches our kids,
Mhm.
which is expensive and tough, but we
Mhm.
prefer it this way because we have decided that family time should not be connected to our work schedules. We want to visit our family. We don't want it to always be like, okay, thanks, mom. See you later. And we don't get to visit with our parents.
Mhm.
So,
we have a few of our neighbors that are that way, and it kind of strains the mother-daughter relationship when like you're constantly watching the kids and like
yeah.
that. They're like, am I coming visit or am I coming watch the kids? Like it kind of
Yeah.
taints their yeah.
So, yeah,
The
I mean,
dynamic there.
I want my kids to have a relationship with our family, but it's more of a we're going to, Grammy's house for a visit or what it is. So
Aw, I love that.
especially
I do too.
because our parents are older and they don't want
Yeah.
to watch small children until 2 a.m. Like, I get it.
Oh, yes.
That's a reality.
That is
Yeah.
very real.
Yeah. So we have decided to charge a lot of money for wedding photography. um, and I don't know about the retirement age, but it does pay for our sitter. We have wonderful.
You're going to pay
little
for your sitters to retire.
Honestly, though, I'm like, why are we doing photography? We should be babysitters. This is how much they're charging. It's great. No, but I mean, she's a super energetic, like 22-year-old. She's in college and she does virtual college. So she's pretty much available to us whenever we need her. And she's totally cool with midnight.
Amazing.
She's like studying at that time. So she travels to us. We actually have had her as a sitter since we lived in Thibodeau. And then she went to Southeastern on the North Shore. So we moved to the North Shore because of her.
Well, not directly. It was one of the
She was
pros.
between Nichols and
Yeah.
Yeah,
Southeastern,
it was
and
one
I
of the pros
said,
for sure.
I said, if you move to Southeastern, we're coming. Like, we're going to.
Aw, I
So
love
it ended up
that.
working out. And so, yeah, she's literally the only reason we have been able to get anything done these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, she watches our kids sometimes for sessions, sometimes every single wedding almost,
Yeah.
and most rehearsal dinners too.
I
Just like,
would
Yeah.
recommend though to have like 1 to 3 good sitter
Yes.
options.
Right.
We do have backups in the event that she can't make it. But she also comes to like our destination weddings with us if we
Yeah.
decide to bring the kids. So she travels with us.
she came all the way to Aspen with us over the summer. That
Yeah.
was fun.
That's
So
amazing.
it's building trust with someone, and I'm not worried about checking in every 2 hours. She knows that really I can't talk during a wedding unless I contact her.
No.
Don't try to get in touch with me because
I think
it's just not gonna
she also
happen.
she takes every aspect of watching us the kids for the wedding very seriously too, because she's almost always 30 minutes before we tell her to show up. Like if we tell her to show up at 12, she's showing up at 11:30. One time she showed up like 5 minutes late, and we always like cushion in like our drive
Of course.
to the prep, and she felt terrible. I'm like, girl, it's fine. You're so amazing. Calm down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wedding. Like, she knows the importance of what we do. We can't call in sick. We can't be late, you know. So
Mhm.
We've gotten really lucky over the years because we've had 3 solid babysitters throughout the years.
Mhm.
One funny story how it came around. The first babysitter we ever had that watched Eleanor when she was like 4 months old. We just photographed her wedding last year at the Four Seasons.
so
Aw,
yeah.
That was
that's
fun
full
for the fun.
circle.
Yeah, so all of her family members were like, "Didn't she used to babysit for y'all?" We're like, "Yeah, she
Yep.
did."
Aw, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
And they're
really
like,
sweet
"Oh
to
my
think
god,
about.
we're old."
Yeah.
We'd be old enough to get married.
That's really
So, yeah.
sweet. And I think, you kind of said it best. It's like so many things, so many good takeaways there. I think finding good, reliable help, having backup plans. I mean, you don't have to, rely on other shooters outside of yourselves unless you need a third photographer, but like it's almost the same as when you're hiring a second photographer, that you want to find somebody that's really qualified, really good, because, you know, they're your most precious kids and you're not accessible. Most precious part of your life and you're not accessible.
Which
We
is
pretty
why
much
we pretty much have like a zero tolerance policy around being late or not showing up, and we're not like this at all.
not
We're very
necessarily
kind,
being late. I
but
think more
not
not
late.
showing up.
Late, not so much. Late's not really a problem because I find if somebody's going to be late, like they'll let us know.
Yeah.
But because we're not really like that as people in our
Mhm.
everyday lives. But if somebody doesn't show up, we, unfortunately won't call them again because we can't have that happen. We just don't. We have to show up, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Unless they're sick. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think that emergencies happen, things come up. But I think like just oh, I decided I wanted to do this weekend instead, or, oh,
Yeah.
like, do you mind if you find somebody else because XYZ? Like every now and then, I understand like, okay, Taylor Swift is coming and you got a last minute ticket. All right, go boo. I'll find
I
somebody
get
to
it, I
replace
get
you.
it.
Okay. Like I get it.
Well, we
But
didn't book a wedding this weekend because we knew Taylor Swift was gonna be in town, so I didn't wanna risk not having a sitter. I'm like, "No,
yeah,
no,
right. You're like,
not
I
worth
already know
it."
they're all going to be there. In fact, you know what? We should just go out there and just start getting business cards. Like, are you a babysitter? Are you a babysitter? But no, I think it really is good to have that help. And honestly, we just moved closer to our family, just to have memories with them because I felt like I was missing out on so many things and my parents are getting older and I don't know, I just kind of felt like time was getting away. We had some like big personal stuff that happened in our lives this year. And it just kind of made you realize like life is really short. But we're still, interestingly enough, we're still actually hiring babysitters,
Mhm.
even though we're in the actual neighborhood of my parents, because it's like so many points that you made, it's like you don't want that to be the only reason that you're spending time with them. My parents are a lot older now. It's a lot for them. And also, I love my parents, but they'll be like, "Oh, actually, we decided today we're going to do this and we're just going to take the kids," or like, "Oh, this person's also going to come over to the house." And like, I just kind of felt like with the sitters, they're really like focused and set, and I
And
don't
they
have to
have their one
feel
job.
they have
Yes.
their one job while I'm doing my one job, and I don't have to worry. And then also I do have my parents, if the kids are getting sick now, this is very fresh, like a month in, where Opal actually got sick this weekend. She was like throwing up, and I felt so good knowing that my mom was there to help. And so there's
Yeah.
pros and cons, but I think you have to sort of figure out like what works well for you. And even between the four of us, we have some similarities and some differences. And I think that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you guys, because when we were starting our business, like probably all four of us collectively, there weren't a lot of people talking about things like childcare and wedding photography.
Mhm.
And wedding photography is really unique, especially when both of you guys are working together. I can't tell you how many people are people ever surprised that y'all are married?
All the time. And then they're like, do you have kids? Well, actually, they'll be like, wait, you're married? And Brandon will show the back of his phone, which is a picture of our two kids. And then it immediately is followed up with a question of, well, who has your kids?
Right.
I'm like, they're not home alone, I assure you. Like,
That's my
God
favorite question.
forbid we're
Yeah.
both out the house at the same time. You know?
Right. Right.
So I'm sure y'all kind of
Exactly.
get that too. Like, who has them?
Yeah, it's like the initial surprise that you're married. Then
Yeah.
do you have kids and where are your kids? And I'm like, "Oh, they're just right there." Yeah, like what
We threw
Where
some,
are
AC's running. It's fine.
we threw,
They're in the hotel room.
we threw some gummies and some wood chippings. They're good. They'll figure it out.
totally fine. Yeah.
Literally,
So,
it was fine.
no, that is really funny. And I'm glad that you guys did kind of dig into that and give some advice, because I think we've probably all learned from some mistakes that we've made. I mean, it sounds like y'all have had a really good sitter from jump, but we've definitely we'll do like little trials before the wedding weekend where we'll have a sitter come and kind of experience what it's like. And honestly, if a sitter's not good for a 1 hour or 2 hour little like getaway date night during the week, you definitely don't want to leave your children with them for the whole day, because sometimes they're going to be with a sitter from the time they wake up until you don't see them to go to bed.
Do
And
a trial
so,
run for like bedtime routine. That is my biggest advice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as soon as I found
yeah.
someone who can handle the bedtime routine with them, and because I love my mom dearly, but Brandon and I know we will come home from a wedding at 11 o'clock and both kids are still up.
Your in-laws are free, and you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And they probably just had a fudge sickle or a big bowl of ice cream and
Really,
cookies.
though. Like, they didn't eat their dinner. I don't know why. And then there's like candy wrappers all in the trash can. I'm like, I wonder why.
Colin didn't want his taco
No
bowl.
idea.
The boy will literally eat 3 taco bowls if you
Yeah.
put it in front of him.
But he knows it's Gigi.
Gigi will let me eat nothing but muffins.
Yeah. That's funny. That's what we call my mom, Gigi. And Gigi also in our family is giving them all the sweet things. Yeah, I totally understand. So, okay, are y'all planning to, I know this is like kind of a funny question, but do you think that you guys will continue to work together in the foreseeable future? Like,
We'll see.
no, I'm serious. I'm genuinely asking, and I know it's a funny question, but like truly, because sometimes I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I wonder, like, is this the best for our children, for our family, for us? Like, I think right now the answer is yes, which is why we're doing it. But I was just curious if you guys ever thought, like, maybe is there a world where you're managing peony weddings and people are shooting for you, or maybe just one of you is doing separate weddings? Like, truly, what asking.
I don't think we'd ever do the associate route.
No, we'll never hire under us, and we'll never split up.
Like I said earlier, I think like for
I like the
photography, as
conviction.
opposed to videographers, that 95% of the work is done on the day of. So like the art and the artist is on the day of. You put 8 photographers all in a row at the same venue with the same model, the same lighting, you're gonna get 8 different photos. Everyone's gonna shoot it differently, and no one's gonna shoot it exactly like Juliana.
Yeah.
And I know that because I try to do it constantly, and I'm told that I'm wrong all the time. And I've been shadowing her for 8 years.
It's funny
Hard to
that
be
we even
Juliana.
have it's funny we even have this conversation because we actually talked about that this week. It's like, what would
Really?
life look like if you went get an accounting job? And the conclusion
It
was
sounded
that
a lot like what Brad did last year. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
right.
it'd be
And
fun.
it
Take it from
no,
us.
the
Yeah.
conclusion was that we would never see each other.
You
What
wouldn't.
I love about like anytime we have our little differences or annoyances with each other, I just think about all of the times where we can go get lunch together on a Tuesday in the middle of the day, or we can go play
Yeah.
tennis every morning, and we have that time to spend together. What we choose to do with it is our own choice. It's just like I feel like the weekends, that's like our Monday and Tuesday, right? And
Yeah.
we get in that zone. But if he had to go to work on Monday and I was sitting in this office all day by myself, editing the product of what we did on the weekend, I just feel like that would age me. That
Yeah.
like truly. And I love that like we can pick up the kids from school and go do things with them and
Yeah, like after we kind of stopped working at 3. Like
mhm.
Yeah.
every day, I go pick up Colin from daycare because we could talk about childcare for a little while. Colin goes to a daycare, so I go get him around 3, 4 o'clock, and then Eleanor gets off the bus. She
Cool.
prefers to ride the bus. We always offer to drive her, but she's like, "No, the bus is so cool."
And they
So
listen
I
to Taylor
love
Swift
that.
on the bus.
our bus
So
driver is phenomenal.
I
yeah.
rode the bus. My
Yeah.
our kids will
Love it,
probably
love it.
ride the bus.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe bus drive. Maybe we should drive her
No.
if that's how bus driver kids end
No,
up.
no, no, no.
I
No,
just
but
I want to commend like your foresight though, Brandon. I think you were spot on in
Yeah.
thinking about, hey, if you were to go do a 9 to 5, it would look exactly the way you guys had predicted.
I
It's
think
100%.
I think it's
Gone
always
through it.
important. I think it's always important to like flash back 5 or 10 years. Like think of yourself, what you were doing, and what you were wishing for in 5 to 10 years. And if I went get a job working 9 to 5, making a ton of money because I have a separate career, she would have her career, we'd be rolling in it. But at what cost?
like
Where
I feel
I
like you would
literally
want
just be
to
working.
be doing this
It's the exact
instead.
opposite. I think it's very it's like Catherine said earlier, it's opposite of what the societal norms are. It's like you go to
Yeah.
work, you have a little bit of free time. I want opposite. I want 3, 4 days of free time that I can decide to say, oh, I'm gonna edit today. Oh, I'm gonna go to the gym. Oh, I'm gonna go play golf. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go spend some time with my wife. And then every now and again I go work. And I think some people would see that as lazy, but it's like, no, I only have one life. That we're only
Yeah.
here for one time. I'm only gonna see my little 4-year-old boy for 1 year. After that, he's 5. After that, he's 6. It flies by so fast. And like I said, I just think 5 years ago, if I asked Brandon at 25 and I said, hey, what do you want to be doing in 5 years? It would not be doing photography and an accounting job. It would be
Yeah.
probably one or the other, and then find some time to actually pursue my actual interests and personal things on my free time.
Right.
But I already have that, so why would I?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, it's also really neat to hear the conversation, like the BTS conversations that you guys are having in your house, and the planning, and like even the conviction. I was like, oh, I love the conviction, like the conviction you have about, no, we won't do an associate team, no, we won't split up. I think knowing where you stand on those things help really guide you, because opportunities come up, and even the temptation to scale. I mean, people ask me all the time. They're like, when are you going to get an associate? I'm like, not right now. It just doesn't feel right to me at this moment. I'm not going to say never. I don't know, but I feel like that just isn't where my heart is. And knowing that where you stand on those things can really help guide you in business, because you're always going to have different opportunities and different options. Like even with video, these are things that we've thought about, we've talked about. So I figured you guys had as well. Okay, so I want to ask, if someone is considering going into business with their significant other, what would you say to them?
Ooh.
get a counselor. Make sure you have good communication, because
Great
Communication
advice.
skills.
98% of any disagreement or argument that Juliana get into, whether it's work or personal, comes down to that.
Mhm.
And the people who don't know how to communicate in their personal lives, in their marriage, in their work lives, because some people are phenomenal workers, they're amazing artists, but they don't know how to tell you to do how to get a shot or what shot to get. It comes so natural to them that they don't know how to communicate it. Or
That's me.
yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm a
like
horrible like teacher. I'm like, just do it. Just, like, what do you
No,
just do it?
just do me. Like do what
Yes.
well, that sounds bad. But like just do just do what I do. You know what
hey,
I
yo,
mean?
Catherine, you good?
Flustered.
Cut that part. Cut that part. Cut it
Yeah,
out.
edit. Um
Have you ever heard the WWJD? What would Jesus do? What would Juliana do?
Yeah, no, that's great advice. Communication
No,
is
I mean,
everything, you know, and being
it's
able to
communication, and like I said earlier, like being able to be your own person aside from your partner, having your me time
yeah,
so that you can come together and not be like, oh my God, we are just one person. I'm not even an individual anymore because
anymore.
we're doing everything together.
It's like the couples that when they have a social event, that if one of them gets sick, no one can go. So like you
Oh.
know you could like if Brad got sick, you could still go to the social function. But
Yeah.
then the
You
text
just
you like we're sick. It's like no, one of y'all is sick.
Right. Right.
the
The
headache.
other
Yeah.
one's making up an excuse.
Right,
That's
right,
different when you
right,
got to take care of kids, but
No,
right.
but
That is very true. What
yeah,
about
just
you? I'm curious what you would say.
What I would say, I mean, I guess I'd probably just echo what Brandon and Juliana are saying about communication. I
Mhm.
mean, honestly, because uh, and always when communicating, especially at a wedding,
I feel like he's saying this in a way that I should listen.
make sure you smile.
Oh, here
Make
we
sure you
go.
smile
Here we go.
because to
don't
your
do that
point,
again. Don't do that
exactly.
again. That's what I do all the time. I'm like,
You really,
what was
you really did
that?
that shot? You really, you
You
forgot to
missed
get
that,
that?
didn't you? Yeah, you did. Like, all the
Yeah.
time.
And
yeah, and
Brad's
I
always
hate
telling me,
that.
like, stop. He's like, don't wave your arms. Stop pointing.
Yeah.
Don't.
So my big thing, because sometimes it can get away from us, is how we communicate with each other. You know, you guys, like when we're not on camera or whatever, is we are just abrupt. And so, but we got to realize when we're in the presence of others, that
Mhm.
communication needs to
Who's more
be
abrupt?
professional.
Catherine, he said.
Catherine's
Yeah,
more
I
abrupt.
would
Yeah,
say
I
me for
am
sure.
too.
Although sometimes when Brad is like in the zone, he does get a little bit like
Short.
short, but it's not toward me. It's almost just like I can tell he's thinking and I'm like, slow down, like calm down a little bit and like think about how you're going to approach this. You know, go do these things first and then these things, like almost putting in order because I can just see his brain is like everything all at once, you know? But I
On
think
that on that note, what you just said that Brad does, we both also do. And I will say, and this is to everyone who's thinking of, you know, partnering up with their significant other, with the communication and how you communicate. I also think it's important to, how do I say this, like not get offended by the way we communicate in the moment because like I said earlier, we're both so invested in the same thing. We
thing.
both love what we do so much. We both know that this matters, like what we do matters. And so I think on a especially a wedding day, Brandon's like again in the zone. He's thinking whatever, and he like says something to me because he's like, nah, don't talk or whatever. I'm like, 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 oh, he's thinking about where he wants to put his lighting. So okay, I'm like,
Right.
you know, whatever. I'm like, and I don't get offended. Like, I know I get that way too. I'm like, don't suggest anything right now. I'm thinking, like, I'm looking for light or whatever it is,
Yep.
and
Yeah, when I'm setting up lighting at the reception,
I suggest
I'll be something like, "Do you want to go?" Not now. I was like, "I figure it out."
Yeah.
signature drinks are. He's like, shut up.
Yeah.
I do something I do that we've talked to our students about is that like I'll go set up all the lights and they're like, "Wait, Juliana doesn't set up any of the lights?" I said, "No, I take her camera and I
Mhm.
set up her camera exactly how it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
And for the first dances, I hand her the camera and say,
Yep.
go."
Yep.
And
Ta-da!
I said, so now, and I said, I have to set up my camera, her camera, and possibly a couple film cameras as well
Mhm.
to make sure they're all good to go. So like, yeah, it takes a lot of like boom,
Yeah.
boom.
While
check,
he's
check,
doing
check,
that,
check.
while he does that, I go see what the signature drinks are.
Yeah.
I'm doing like a wraparound of the reception, make sure we got all the details. I'm like,
Yeah.
Right.
making sure there's no like photo booth in a random corner that I didn't get while I was like doing Zoomies 15 minutes ago. But
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
we found a
no.
process that works for us, but we also know like when we're in certain zones, maybe don't suggest something or ask questions at that time.
Right.
And
Right.
we try not to get mad at each other. But
Yeah,
if we have had situations where like while we're eating quickly in 30 seconds or in the car on the way home, which we try not to have meltdowns on the car in the car on the way home, but
we'll complain about the moms.
yeah.
It's never the clients. I'm sure y'all can agree with that. It's usually never the clients.
Mom.
It's the people who are bride and groom adjacent.
Bride and groom adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll be like, hey, like, I love you, but I feel like the way you said that
Yeah.
was a little unnecessary. And like we'll
Yeah.
like hatch it out before we get home.
And usually it's all
Oh.
it's all stemming from stuff that we understand. Like at weddings are stressful. Like it's
Yeah.
like, oh well, I was dealing with the maid of honor who was suggesting us to do 18 different poses and we didn't have enough time. So I was feeling frustrated and like rush. And then you asked me that question and then I just snapped. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I get that.
Mm.
Totally understand. Sometimes your spouse, because they are your spouse at work, you will be a little bit of the I like to
The
call it
sponge.
the yelling sponge.
Yeah.
But when you get home, you gotta wring the sponge out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta come
I
out.
also think though that it's like, with your partner, in life, that you probably put a little bit more pressure on them. And I think a huge perk is you can also place more trust
Oh yeah.
in them. Like the amount of trust that I place on Brad far supersedes. Now, I had photographers that worked with me. I would say every second that worked with me for about 4 years or so. So that's a long time. It's a lot of weddings and a lot of loyalty. And I did have trust in them. But I think like the trust and like the type of things even that you ask are things that you would never ask. Like I was pumping and asking Brad to go and like help me with my pump. Like I'd be like, can you please go take care of, like, just handing him things. Same thing with my camera. It's like
Oh.
sometimes I'll just pass him my camera and say like, can you just figure this out? And just knowing full and well that Brad will go to the moon and back, and I think it's that shared interest in loyalty and investment. And I really do think I mean, I'm very grateful for the people who worked with me before, and I don't want to undermine that. But I think anyone who's ever been in a relationship, a long-term relationship, understands that ultimate level of unconditional love and trust. And I think that's really special to feel like I'm taking that type of bond and bringing it into something like wedding photography that is so irreplicable and a little scary for people when you tell them they're like, "Oh my gosh, you do that? Like you could never redo it." And it's like, yeah, there's a lot of pressure. But I really trust this person so much, and that's really beautiful. And so, I know it's hard and we've shared a lot of the ups and downs, but I think it's a really cool dynamic that you're bringing into, like, bringing your love into their love and like documenting their love. So, okay, well,
Hey,
let's
Brad,
wrap with.
I think you might like you. You should ask her out.
Oh, me?
Y'all,
Yeah.
y'all should go look
Hey.
at houses.
Yeah. No, we shouldn't. I don't want to talk about the
No.
roof lines.
That doesn't want to talk about another house as long as we live. Trust me.
Okay. Any final words, and how can the listeners connect with you guys?
You have a few questions here that you didn't go over.
Oh,
Are
it's
you
okay.
sure?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay.
I think my final word is
Wait. What did I skip? Set me
Funniest thing
straight.
someone has ever said to you while photographing together?
Oh, Brandon was really
Oh,
about
Brandon was
that
waiting
one.
for that.
I
Okay.
have the G-rated answer. I have the PG-13 answer.
Okay, I want both. I thought it was
No,
what y'all said
no,
earlier.
you don't.
Wait, I thought it was what y'all said earlier about like, are you married? Where's your kids? I was thinking that was the funniest thing. No, we've
Mm-mm.
more.
Oh no, I've straight up been asked to go home with the grandma. Like the grandma wants to like, like she had to like fight her off, and that's the G one. She was like, oh my gosh, no. She's
I
mine.
am 99.9% sure that he has been written into that will.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
We'll find out when Wilma passes.
Oh
in a
my
few
God.
years.
When I tell y'all, she was obsessed with him from the moment he walked into bride prep.
Aww.
You taking my picture? Like the whole thing, whole day.
Brad, if you want that instant connection that you're cool with grandma, here's a little tip for you. You go in and you ask, you immediately recognize like that's grandma, and you go, hey, are you the mother of the bride? Easy in, easy in,
And then hit him with a.
hit it with a finger gun.
What do you do?
That's the Gen Z version of that, Catherine.
Oh.
F boy.
Yeah.
That's really cute.
Yeah, so the grandma's taking home Brandon. I mean, actually trying to drag him out to their car.
The mother of the groom last weekend straight up, she's like, here's my room number.
Yes.
And the dad was across the table. I was like,
take
529 tonight. He's like, okay. And then
It's the facial hair.
It's never gonna happen for me. I just don't. I can't do it, Brandon. I can't do that nice goatee and mustache that you got going, man.
I think it's his height. He's just so cute. Like, I don't know.
The grandmothers love him. And
I hope we're written into some wills, man. I mean, what a blessing.
What a surprise.
I know. But yeah,
okay,
so
that's great. Thank you for making me revisit that question.
He was so excited about that question.
Are we missing any more stories? Any more?
Well, you said the G.
No.
You said the G-rated one, but
Juliana's stopping him.
You know what? We'll say it, but we're not going to go into detail. Basically,
so no follow-up questions.
No follow-up questions.
Okay, after you're done, I'm just going to ask for final advice and connections.
We were asked to go home with a bridesmaid. Both of us asked to go home with a bridesmaid. She was very drunk, and she served in a wedding 2 weekends after that we also photographed, and she just kept profusely apologizing.
Oh,
but no one would let her live this down because she was like so dead set. And then she was telling us that she would be a great stepmom to our children.
Was that the first weekend or the second weekend?
That was the first weekend. She was
okay.
But then by the second weekend, she was like, I mean, the offer still stands. I was like, I don't get paid
like
enough
she got a little overserved on that first weekend.
I was like, I'm approaching 30, please.
Aww.
Just to make this come full circle.
Great.
Just to make sure this comes full circle, as I said earlier, mini suitors.
Many suitors, yeah.
When she finally did get married, she did not hire us to photograph her wedding. I wonder why.
That's
aww.
So, sweet.
Anyway.
we also that whole second wedding.
That's true.
I'm glad you shared your story. Okay. All right. Final advice, and then how can people connect with you guys?
Final advice is just good luck. I mean, honestly, the rewards outweigh any cons we could have come up with for being a husband and wife team. But I will say it needs to be rooted in a lot of trust, really good communication, continued communication, and just know that you're not going to have it all figured out. Like, we are far from perfect in our personal and our business lives. We still like nitpick at each other all the time. Basically, you're just going to be a work in progress. As long as you're like up for the challenge with not only working at your at-home relationship, but also like figuring it out how to be coworkers, you're going to be fine.
Can I have a hot take?
Ooh, sure.
Hot take. The people who say, oh my God, I could never work with my spouse. I'm sure y'all get that all the time, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Red flag. I'm just saying, like, if you straight up like feel like you cannot spend every moment with your spouse.
You like me?
Yeah, you're
no,
okay.
it is different. Like, us working together is different than when we're at home.
I said it was a hot take.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like the take because I guess my alternative to that would be it depends on what we're working on.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
true.
That's
You know?
that's fair.
Yeah,
Home
like if
renovation? No.
wait, what's that?
Home renovation? Eh.
Oh
We'll call Brad.
gosh.
We'll call Brad.
No. No, never.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
we
Yeah.
redid one bathroom.
Oh,
That
so
was a
you
lot.
guys,
We
you guys
survived.
going through it.
By that I'm saying we painted a bathroom.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. So what you
Okay,
guys
wait, where can they find y'all? Where can people follow you guys?
Instagram, Facebook, and website. So
Okay.
our Instagram is at Peony Wedding Photo, PEONY Wedding Photo. And then Peony Wedding Photography on Facebook. Website is www.peonyphotography.com. I don't do the TikToks. I have a TikTok, but I don't put anything
You say
on
that
there.
in the oldest lady way possible.
Oh, and I'm going,
on purpose.
I'm going
do
to
the TikTok.
continue. Yeah. I have nothing. I don't manage anything but Instagram. So
If they want to email me,
Yeah.
I'll tell them which alleyways they can do the dead drops in.
The dead drops? What is
Yeah.
that?
Is that a TikTok trend?
anytime a client
Is this a TikTok?
is
Oh my gosh. Dude, I sounded like really old.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is that?
on your note of like comedic background here, Brandon does not take life too seriously. I am definitely like that. I will email you an invoice and contracts. We're gonna have a paper trail. Brandon's like, or we could avoid taxes and you could do a dead drop with cash in the back alley with the
Oh.
address. I'm like, Brandon, stop. So, you know,
Oh,
Hi,
Brandon,
IRS.
he's got
That was a
jokes.
joke. I would never do that. That was a joke.
the worst.
Too much. I love it. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for having just like this fun conversation with us. And thanks, Brad, for carving out time to like hang with us. He said he didn't know. It's been in our schedule for weeks, but
Yeah,
Well, but
no,
I
I love
mean,
it.
he just wasn't spending enough time with you. So
yes.
we needed this.
But no, truly, thank y'all so much. I mean, you guys are truly like, obviously we focused a lot on, working together and childcare but as photographers, I mean, we've had conversations about film and you guys are just very, very talented. And I'm just thankful, that we're friends and in the same industry together and just keep inspiring people and keep being yourselves and keep bringing the comedy. You make me laugh.
The feeling is mutual.
Yes, right back at
I love
you.
that we had an hour long conversation about how important communication is, just for Catherine to be like, it was in the calendar. You didn't see it.
Yeah.
And that's that.
And like we said, it's an ongoing, you always figure
Right.
it out.
I need a Rosetta Stone to understand our calendar.
It's quite full.
Maybe look better next time, Brad.
Yeah, with a smile.
With a smile.
Well done, Juliana.
But no, thank y'all so much.